The news just dropped, and it's shaking the 90-day Fiance world to its core. Bilal has been quietly cut by TLC, and insiders are calling it a fallout no one saw coming. Months of rumors, speculation, and fan sleuthing have finally collided with reality. Allegations of financial inconsistencies, manipulative behavior, and behind-the-scenes control have forced the network's hand, leaving fans stunned and asking, what exactly happened? The man who once seemed polished, composed, and untouchable now faces the collapse of everything he built in the public eye. Welcome to TLC Drama Live. I'm Sabrina. Subscribe and comment if you've been following this chaos. The story isn't just about one man's career, it's about trust shattered, promises broken, and a franchise exposed for the vulnerabilities it allowed to flourish. Bilal's rise was carefully orchestrated. Every suit, every word, every move seemed intentional, designed to project success and stability. But insiders say that image was slipping long before the network made its move. Pranks that seemed quirky, comments that seemed minor, a coldness when finances came up, these were early warning signs. Fans now call them manipulative, calculated, obsessive. TLC rarely fires anyone publicly, which makes this silent removal even more suspicious. The questions start piling up. How could a man with such an image mask alleged inconsistencies for so long? What exactly triggered the network's decisive action, and why keep it under wraps? While Bilal disappears from promos, trailers, and future plans, Shida's social media tells a different story. Her posts are solo, cryptic, and introspective. Allegedly blindsided, she now faces the emotional weight of betrayal in front of a massive audience. The stakes couldn't be higher. This isn't just a career collapsing, it's a relationship in crisis and a franchise under scrutiny. Fans are dissecting every past episode, every interview, every scene where Bilal's mask may have slipped. Financial control, secrecy, manipulation, they're all under the microscope. The silence from TLC only amplifies the suspense, and as more leaks surface, one question hangs over everything. Was this carefully curated life just a facade from the beginning? Fans are already demanding answers, and the fallout is just beginning. On screen, Bilal looked like the picture of success. Suave, confident, always calm under pressure, viewers assumed they were seeing a man who had it all together. His social media reflected ambition, charm, and sophistication, and every interview reinforced that image. People admired his apparent drive and dedication, convinced they were watching someone completely genuine. Every handshake, every laugh, every well-placed comment seemed calculated to build trust. Fans trusted him, networks trusted him, and Shida, well, she believed she was building a life with someone predictable and reliable. But behind the polished exterior, small cracks were already appearing. The first few episodes hinted at subtle oddities, pranks that went a little too far, jokes that felt uncomfortable rather than funny, or moments where he seemed oddly distant or dismissive toward Shida. At first, fans laughed it off as quirky personality traits or editing choices. Yet, those small moments started to accumulate. Comments about finances, the way he occasionally shifted responsibility, or the unusual control over minor decisions were subtle, almost imperceptible, but when pieced together, they created a worrying pattern. Shida, loyal and hopeful, seemed unaware of the growing tension, but sharp-eyed fans noticed. Social media threads began dissecting episodes frame by frame, highlighting moments where Bilal's behavior didn't match his charming image. Did he insist on controlling who saw what about their life? Did his reactions to simple disagreements seem rehearsed or manipulative? These early signs were easy to miss, easily brushed off, but they quietly sowed doubt. The facade that everyone loved was showing the first hints of strain. As the episodes progressed, more inconsistencies emerged. Financial discussions became tense. Unexplained absences from conversations raised eyebrows, and controlling tendencies started to show in subtle ways. Small acts of dismissiveness, a slightly sarcastic tone, and strategic compliments slowly painted a different picture. The man fans thought they knew might have been constructing a narrative all along, one designed to hide discomfort, insecurity, or perhaps something more calculated. The first real question arises. Were these tiny anomalies harmless quirks, or early warning signs of a much larger pattern? Fans started connecting dots, speculating, theorizing, and debating. What looked like a perfect, curated life might have been carefully staged. Could these small cracks have been the first indication that the polished persona wasn't what it seemed? The image was slipping, and viewers were starting to notice the first glimpses behind the carefully crafted curtain. As Bilal Haas continued to appear on screen, fans began scrutinizing every detail more closely. The charm, the confidence, the smiles, it all still looked perfect on camera. But for some viewers, the cracks were becoming impossible to ignore. Social media threads exploded with questions about his business ventures. Statements he made about his career and property ownership didn't always line up. Was his company really as successful as he claimed? Did he own the properties he boasted about? Sharp-eyed fans began cross-referencing public records, LinkedIn profiles, and even local property databases. The results were startling. Some of the businesses Bilal highlighted seemed registered, but their operations were minimal or inactive. Others were almost ghost companies, no employees, no activity, and financial filings that didn't match the image presented on TV. Fans collected screenshots, shared timelines, and pieced together a web of inconsistencies. Every comment from Bilal about financial success, real estate investments, and future plans started getting questioned. What initially seemed like minor exaggerations was starting to look like a pattern of misrepresentation. Even more intriguing were gaps insiders noticed behind the scenes. Production staff, seemingly aware of certain discrepancies, allegedly chose to continue filming. Moments that could have raised serious flags, claims of property ownership, funding for lifestyle choices, even vague financial stories, were left in the episodes without challenge. To viewers, it looked like the network was either unaware or willing to push the envelope for ratings. But the pattern of inconsistencies was becoming hard to ignore. Fans weren't just curious. They were investigative. They traced invoices, checked addresses, and examined publicly available business data to compare claims against reality. The evidence stacked up quietly but convincingly. Shida, meanwhile, remained caught in the middle. On camera, her reactions were genuine, her trust seemingly intact. Off camera, fans began speculating about her awareness. The emotional tension was palpable. Every fan post, every comment thread dissecting Bilal's financial footprint amplified the suspense. The deeper the investigation went, the more serious the questions became. How could someone maintain such a polished life on TV while leaving these gaps in reality? It wasn't only the fans who were noticing. Production insiders reportedly flagged certain inconsistencies internally. Meetings were held, conversations recorded, and questions raised about the authenticity of the claims being made. Yet, the episodes aired as planned. TLC pushed forward, keeping Bilal in the spotlight while subtle cracks gathered more public attention. Fans weren't satisfied with surface-level explanations. They wanted receipts, timelines, and facts, and that's exactly what they began compiling. The tension kept building because if viewers were already piecing together evidence, the behind-the-scenes discoveries were bound to be even more explosive. What producers knew, what legal teams noticed, and how the network evaluated those warnings remained hidden from the public eye. Every post, every theory, every investigation led to a single unanswerable question. If fans were suspicious, imagine what producers discovered behind closed doors. The story was far from over, and the financial trail Bilal left behind was only getting more tangled. By the time Bilal Haas's inconsistencies became impossible to ignore, whispers behind the cameras had grown louder. Insiders revealed that production teams were feeling intense pressure. On one hand, Bilal's storyline drew attention, suspense, and clicks. On the other hand, every inconsistency, every unanswered question about his businesses or financial claims became a liability. The network faced a delicate balancing act: keep a rising star on screen or risk exposing potential fraud under their watch. Bilal's behavior off-camera reportedly added to the tension. Sources suggest he exercised unusual control over how scenes were edited, which clips were highlighted, and even the narrative spun around him. Producers were caught between accommodating his request to maintain the polished persona fans loved and protecting the integrity of the show. He pushed for spin-off ideas, more screen time, and story arcs that emphasized his charm and financial success. Behind closed doors, executives questioned whether giving him that control was worth the potential fallout. The network's legal and compliance teams were reportedly involved quietly, evaluating the potential risks of airing episodes featuring someone under growing scrutiny. Every meeting, every internal email thread seemed to weigh entertainment value against exposure to lawsuits, fan outrage, and media backlash. The pressure wasn't just about ratings, it was about protecting the brand. Meanwhile, fans noticed something strange. Bilal started disappearing from promos, teasers, and even social media shoutouts that previously highlighted his storyline. Posts featuring him were edited, mentions reduced, and his presence in upcoming episode teasers became sporadic. It sparked a flurry of speculation online. Were these strategic cuts to distance him from the network? Was TLC trying to quietly minimize attention while an internal review unfolded? The absence was loud enough that it didn't go unnoticed. At the same time, internal sources described tense conversations between producers and TLC executives. Arguments reportedly flared over whether to continue featuring him prominently or begin scaling back. Some advocated for transparency, suggesting disclaimers or adjustments in marketing. Others pushed to keep the story rolling, citing ratings, fan engagement, and the potential for spin-offs. Each decision carried weight. Every choice to show or hide footage risked backlash. The stakes weren't just professional, they were emotional for the team managing Shida's storyline. Protecting her perspective, her truth, and the authenticity of her reactions became increasingly important. Fans were beginning to piece together inconsistencies themselves, so any misstep by production could amplify outrage and damage trust in the franchise. If you noticed Bilal suddenly fading from promos and social posts, that wasn't an accident. Every disappearance was a carefully calculated move, and the story behind it is more shocking than you think. Shida's journey through this chaos has been heart-wrenching. At first, she stood firmly by Bilal's side, defending him when whispers about financial inconsistencies and unusual behavior surfaced. Her faith in him was strong, shaped by shared moments, promises, and the public image he carefully crafted. Fans watching at home saw a couple that seemed inseparable, a team united against outside judgment. Behind closed doors, however, Shida started noticing cracks that couldn't be ignored. Small inconsistencies became impossible to rationalize. A promised investment didn't materialize. Sudden evasions over bills and property claims raised questions, and private conversations hinted at a side of Bilal that was controlling, defensive, and dismissive of her concerns. The person she thought she knew seemed to be shifting in real time, leaving her questioning everything. She had defended him publicly, sometimes aggressively, only to feel blindsided by revelations surfacing online and through fan investigations. Social media played a role Shida couldn't escape. Fans dissected every frame of her life with Bilal, connecting dots she hadn't even noticed. Positive comments praising their relationship were quickly overshadowed by critical theories about his motives, financial claims, and behavior. The court of public opinion became relentless, leaving her in a state of constant scrutiny. Each post, tweet, and comment forced her to confront a reality she had avoided. The man she trusted might have been performing for the cameras while hiding crucial truths. The emotional toll was undeniable. Insiders shared that Shida struggled with sleepless nights, revisiting every conversation, every promise, and every suspicious detail. The gap between who Bilal presented himself to be and who he allegedly was behind the scenes created an emotional pressure cooker. Friends and family reportedly urged caution, but the sense of betrayal was personal, intimate, and exhausting. Shida's conflict extended beyond personal feelings. Her public persona was now intertwined with a scandal she never expected to navigate. She had to balance her own healing while considering the narrative presented on national television. Each episode she filmed, each interview she participated in, added weight to her internal struggle. Fans noticed subtle shifts in her demeanor, moments of doubt, hesitation, and quiet reflection, contrasting with her earlier unwavering defense. Despite the chaos, Shida displayed resilience. She questioned, she observed, she weighed her options carefully. Every step forward became a test of her boundaries, her trust, and her self-respect. The emotional fallout wasn't just about betrayal, it was about reclaiming control over her life and narrative. How far will Shida go? Will she stay, or finally walk away? The next move could change everything, and fans are watching every heartbeat of this unraveling story. On camera, Bilal Haas had the perfect image. Confident, charming, always the supportive partner to Shida, he fits seamlessly into the 90-Day Fiance mold. Fans applauded their chemistry, shared memes of their sweetest moments, and praised what looked like a genuine love story. Every smile, every stage gesture reinforced the narrative that Bilal was trustworthy, ambitious, and sincere. But behind the lens, things looked very different. Fans began noticing subtle discrepancies. Social media timelines revealed moments where Bilal's words didn't align with his actions. Promised trips, investment claims, and property discussions were documented publicly by fans and contrasted sharply with private reports circulating online. Every frame and caption was dissected, creating a growing dossier of contradictions. Comment threads exploded with theories, debates, and comparisons, with viewers piecing together patterns that no casual observer would have caught. Anonymous tips started surfacing, shared by alleged insiders who wanted to expose the truth. Documents, screenshots, and financial notes hinted at a carefully managed facade, suggesting Bilal controlled not only his public persona, but also the narrative that TLC presented. These leaks didn't just confirm suspicions, they amplified them, forcing a growing number of fans to question the show itself. Why had the network allowed inconsistencies to air? How deep did the facade go? The contrast between public perception and private reality became impossible to ignore. On TV, Bilal remained polished, measured, and supportive. Off-camera, according to fan investigators and insider reports, his controlling tendencies and questionable financial dealings painted a very different picture. This gap created a tense and compelling drama that fueled online discourse, as viewers weighed every interaction, every confession, and every piece of evidence. Fans weren't passive observers anymore. They were active investigators. Timelines were cross-checked, social media posts compared, and every appearance scrutinized. The growing outrage wasn't just about deception, it was about accountability. People felt betrayed, manipulated, and misled, not only by Bilal but also by the franchise that seemingly turned a blind eye. Public anger and curiosity reached a fever pitch, with every post, video, and rumor feeding into an unstoppable wave of scrutiny and speculation. Bilal Haas didn't just want fame, he wanted control. Beyond the main show, he floated ideas for spin-offs, pitching concepts that would center him and Shida while subtly showcasing his businesses. Merchandise, coaching programs, and exclusive insider access were all hinted at in casual interviews, Instagram stories, and public meet and greets. Fans noticed the pattern. Every promotional post subtly nudged his personal brand, blurring the line between partner, reality star, and entrepreneur. Behind the scenes, producers reportedly grew uneasy. Insider whispers claimed Bilal frequently asked for certain scenes to be cut, others to be highlighted, and narrative spins that placed him in a more favorable light. He wasn't just participating in reality TV, he was trying to shape it around his ambitions. This behavior created friction with the production team, who had to balance storyline continuity with the risk of enabling a cast member's private gain. Even as fans dug into his finances, tracking inconsistencies in claimed investments, real estate posts, and reported income, network executives began quietly reviewing his profile. It was no longer just about on-screen drama. It was about liability. Each missed disclosure, each exaggerated claim, and each push for brand exposure heightened concerns. Suddenly, a casual personality conflict had turned into a legal and ethical minefield. Then came the quiet decision: Bilal would be removed. Not with a public scandal announcement, but with silence, editing him out of promos and delaying future appearances. Fans noticed the sudden absence, triggering speculation, rumors, and online debates. Why had someone so central to the show vanished overnight? What did the network know that viewers didn't? The story hinted at either a meticulously planned strategy or a chaotic unraveling. Was Bilal orchestrating this rise and fall to fuel curiosity and maximize personal gain? Or had the network finally realized the facade and stepped in before things spiraled further? Social media erupted with opinions, analyses, and side-by-side comparisons of his public pitches versus what insiders revealed. Every post added fuel to the narrative, turning casual viewers into relentless investigators. The tension was unbearable. Fans were left asking themselves if Bilal's empire of influence had collapsed by design, or if it all came crashing down without warning. After the network quietly cut ties, Bilal Haas seemed to retreat completely from the public eye. Social media went silent, interviews stopped, and even casual posts vanished. Fans speculated endlessly. Some argued he was planning a comeback. Others said the pressure had finally broken him. But insiders hinted at something more. He wasn't just gone. He was overwhelmed by the backlash, the financial scrutiny, and the realization that his carefully crafted persona had crumbled. Meanwhile, Shida faced the storm front and center. Initially defensive, she had publicly supported Bilal, defending his actions and dismissing whispers. But as leaks surfaced and fans connected the dots, the weight of betrayal became impossible to ignore. Her trust, painstakingly built over months, was shattered in a matter of weeks. Interviews and public appearances showed a woman grappling with confusion, heartbreak, and the shock of being used as a narrative pawn for someone else's ambitions. The ripple effects weren't limited to Bilal and Shida. Fellow cast members, producers, and crew felt the tension. Scenes were re-edited, storylines scrapped, and promotional campaigns adjusted mid-season. The franchise, long celebrated for its drama and romance, suddenly faced questions about authenticity, safety, and accountability. Fans on social media dissected every clip, every story, every post, demanding answers and expressing outrage. The line between personal betrayal and public entertainment blurred sharply. Yet amid the chaos, Shida began quietly reclaiming her narrative. She focused on herself, her passions, and rebuilding trust in her own judgment. Insider sources confirmed she sought guidance, leaned on close friends, and refused to let Bilal's collapse define her. Public posts hinted at resilience, determination, and a refusal to be silenced. Her journey became a subtle but powerful counter-narrative to the scandal, one of recovery, awareness, and empowerment. The audience couldn't help but watch, comment, and wonder how Shida would rise from this whirlwind, proving that even in the heart of betrayal, personal strength could shine. The Bilal Haas scandal didn't just shake viewers, it shook TLC itself. Behind the cameras, producers faced questions about how someone with such glaring inconsistencies slipped through the vetting process. Fans and insiders alike started scrutinizing casting decisions, the checks on financial claims, and how much influence a cast member could exert over storylines and edits. Every missed red flag suddenly became a glaring oversight, exposing vulnerabilities in a system that thrives on drama but often overlooks ethics. Insiders revealed that while some producers raised concerns early, the pressure to maintain ratings and engaging storylines often outweighed caution. Network executives were caught between the potential ratings gold of a controversial character and the risk of public backlash. In a franchise built on tension, love stories, and cultural clashes, Bilal's saga became a case study in how easily image can be weaponized, and how quickly that image can unravel. Fans on social media connected incidents, highlighting discrepancies between what was broadcast and what insiders hinted at off-camera. Timeline analyses, cross-referenced posts, and leaked documents painted a picture of systemic oversight failures. It wasn't just Bilal. Questions arose about how other cast members could exploit loopholes, manipulate narratives, or misrepresent themselves without detection. Suddenly, the franchise's trusted facade of authenticity appeared more fragile than ever. Shida's story, in particular, became a lens for the broader debate. Her emotional journey highlighted not only personal betrayal, but also the risks reality TV poses to participants when oversight is incomplete. Every betrayal, every misstep became a learning point, not just for fans, but for the network itself. Viewers began asking uncomfortable questions. How many other stories might be compromised? How many relationships might be manipulated, and how much of the drama is truly authentic versus strategically edited for engagement? As the public outrage grew, so did the scrutiny on TLC's internal processes. Executives promised reviews, tighter checks, and a reevaluation of casting protocols. But for fans, one question lingered above all else. Is this a one-off incident, or a warning that the entire franchise could be on the brink of another major scandal? The Bilal Haas saga leaves a trail of consequences that won't fade anytime soon. Professionally, Bilal's career in the 90 Day Fiance universe is effectively over. Once celebrated as a charismatic and ambitious figure, he now faces public scrutiny, fan backlash, and a reputation that networks will hesitate to touch. His attempts to leverage the franchise for personal gain, spin-off ideas, brand partnerships, and business ventures have all collapsed under the weight of documented inconsistencies and public outrage. Even outside TLC, casting directors, reality producers, and influencers are taking notice, signaling that trust once lost is nearly impossible to reclaim in a spotlight as relentless as this one. For Shida, the fallout has been deeply personal but also empowering. She has navigated betrayal, embarrassment, and pressure from both the franchise and the audience, all while being thrust into the public eye. Slowly, she's reclaiming her narrative, setting boundaries, and rebuilding her image independently of Bilal. Her story resonates with viewers because it's about more than reality TV. It's about agency, resilience, and learning to trust your own instincts when everyone else seems to be gaslighting you. Social media posts, supportive comments from fans, and subtle yet visible steps toward independence show that she's determined to move forward, stronger and wiser. The franchise itself cannot escape scrutiny either. TLC faces questions about casting protocols, oversight gaps, and how internal pressures may have blinded them to early red flags. While insiders insist changes are underway, the network now carries the burden of proving that it can maintain engaging storylines without enabling manipulation or allowing fraudulent behavior to slip through. Every fan investigation, every leaked tip, and every timeline discrepancy has fueled a larger conversation about accountability in reality TV. What Bilal exposed isn't just a personal failure. It's a mirror reflecting structural vulnerabilities within a system built on perception, trust, and spectacle. For the audience, this saga offers lessons that extend beyond the screen. Trust needs verification, charisma doesn't equal integrity, and sometimes the most polished personas hide the largest cracks. Fans who followed the scandal closely have witnessed firsthand how narrative manipulation, selective editing, and unchecked ambition can escalate into public drama. The emotional highs, the shocking twists, and the eventual accountability show why engagement with reality TV isn't just entertainment, it's participation in a collective investigation where every detail matters. Yet, the story isn't over. The network, the cast, and the fans are all left questioning what's next. Will other members of the franchise face scrutiny? Are there more hidden agendas waiting to surface? Bilal's firing might be the headline, but the ripple effect is far from finished. What happens next could change everything for 90 Day Fiance. Don't miss our next video where we reveal what insiders are saying about upcoming cast fallout. This is the moment where the saga pivots from a single scandal to a franchise-wide reckoning, and the answers will shape the next season in ways fans cannot yet imagine.